We are live.
नहीं अभी नहीं
आप बोल लाइव
कर दिया
कर दिया सर.
Good afternoon.
पोस्ट पे
Welcome to the 6th episode of Homecoming at NIFT.
स्विच करो
NIFT is proud of its vast alumni base, which is spread across the globe. They are the leaders in the fashion industry.
सेकंड लेता
The institute has been
मेरे से
playing a
लाइव है
pivotal
चैट
role
आती है
in creating and nurturing professionals for the fashion and design business. Since the advent of this institute, NIFT's vision has been to provide a world-class learning experience in fashion pertaining to design, technology, and management. The Homecoming is a new initiative which has been envisaged as an interactive session by illustrious alumni from design, management, and technology across NIFT campuses who are currently heading top-ranking organizations, designers, business entrepreneurs, and the works. The aim is to prepare students of NIFT for a professional journey ahead, to present to them the reality and the vision of the industry that we all cater to. As you're all aware, Delhi is the flag bearer campus of NIFT. The courses here started in 1986, and hence we have the privilege of having the senior most alumnus. Today's episode of Homecoming presents alumni of the courses that formed the base of NIFT in its early days: fashion design, apparel marketing and merchandising, which you would now recognize as FMS, and garment manufacturing technology, now which you would recognize as MF Tech. The guests today will be conversing on intersection of design, management and technology, navigating the future of the fashion industry. Before I invite them on stage, I'd like to introduce the guests in order of their becoming alumnus of NIFT. Devanshu Datta graduated from NIFT, Delhi Apparel Marketing and Merchandising in 1990. Devanshu began his formal career in the consumer sector in 1990 with a leading retail chain in India of that time, eventually heading the category that contributed 1/3 of the company's sales. He then worked as part of the launch team of a 50-50 joint venture of an international fashion brand in marketing and distribution, thereafter joining a small management consulting firm at its early stage and contributed to its growth into the largest consulting firm in the retail and consumer product sector. In 1999-2000, the very early days of internet in India, Devanshu co-founded a web-enabled supply chain solutions business. And I may point out that is when supply chain was just beginning, and the concept of supply chain was just beginning. Subsequently, he founded Third Eyesight, a specialist management consulting firm, in 2003, and co-founded PVC Partners, which is an early stage venture acceleration firm, in 2007. He's the chief executive of Third Eyesight and managing partner of PVC Partners. Our second guest, Nidhi Dua, graduated from NIFT Delhi Garment Manufacturing Technology in 1993, starting her career in the H&M liaison office in India. She then went on to become director, Gap International Sourcing of the Indian subcontinent. After heading French Connection UK, FC UK, as country head, she moved to Marks and Spencer's, where she was the region head for India and Sri Lanka and remained with them for 8 years. She is currently Senior Director, South Asia Sourcing at Levi Strauss. Our third guest, Namrata Joshipura, fashion designer. Graduate from Fashion Design Program of NIFT Delhi in 1994, Namrata's vision is that of a global aesthetic. Her clothing easily translates across geographies and other artificial constructs such as age, race, and point of view. The Joshipura line fuses contemporary silhouettes with modern interpretations of artisanal embellishments, and an important signature element is her innovative use of color. Moderating the session today, Dr. C. Matthews. Dr. Matthews has been part of the NIFT fraternity for the last 31 plus years. He is the senior most faculty in the Fashion Management Department across all campuses of NIFT. Over to you, Dr. Matthews.
Homecoming NIFT.
उनको माइक लगा उनको माइक
लगा है ना सर?
उनको नहीं लगाया
लगा है
माइक लगा वन सेकंड क्या मशीन करा वो इधर लगा
Respected members present in the Alumni Sadhuvadhyaya Auditorium at the campus, as well as those joining the homecoming at NIFT episodes 6 through other media. On behalf of the Delhi campus, I extend you all a warm welcome to the conversations with the illustrious alumni of NIFT. Thank you, Banda, for introducing the values, making my job right. Homecoming is an initiative of the President Director of NIFT, is Alumni. This is to bring you to your second home, or to make you take a break from the comfortable work schedule and sit with your professors, at least a few, I can see, professors, glad to have you here, and or even none in the case of some of you. And siblings, the juniors listening to you for a little upshift and more guidance. The intersection of design, management and technology, navigating the future of fashion industry, that's the topic identified for today's discussion. The topic itself focuses on the uniqueness of NIFT. It is a pioneer in professional fashion education, and its uniqueness comes from interdisciplinary coexistence of design, management and technology under one roof, allowing students to pursue multiple career paths. We have one top-class professional each from design, technology and management. Ms. Namrata, Ms. Dhuva and Mr. Damash Dada. Damash Dada, DD, as he is known among his friends, is a serial entrepreneur, a knowledge service provider, and an able leader. Damash, I will start with you. Because we got into NIFT 4 years before Namrata and Nidhi, being one of the first batch of the marketing and merchandising program, then known as the AMM program, which since 2006 was recent Master of Fashion Management. With a wider focus, can you take us back to the late 80s, the changes and the constants in education and employment scenario then and now? Garment management technology, which now is which is offered at 2 levels, UG and PG level, known as Bachelor of Fashion Technology and Master of Fashion Technology. I've also started in the same year to an already existing fashion design program. How that period was different to
हमारी कमेंट से ये आप ही का कम आ रहा है ठीक होगा
वो सर आप वायरिंग लगी थी उसकी वजह से इशू है मेरा पीछे हल्का कमिंग आ रही है हल्का सा वो तो ठीक है ऑडियो बढ़ाया
would have been, by and large, almost everybody would have been an accidental lifting. NIFT was not established, the brand name was not particularly known. Nobody knew about it. So when I came across NIFT, it was because
थोड़ा आगे जा
I was a zoology student sitting in zoology lab and my classmates
हमें ये
in
तो कम करवा दो
the three
Switch,
months
switch,
were
switch.
looking at this ad of this institution
Anna?
for entrance exam. And I asked them what they were looking at, and they showed me the ad. And I just looked at it and I said, looks interesting, something different, हो जाएगा इस पर
हमिंग
time.
साउंड कम करो, हमिंग साउंड
And I said, for the entrance exam,
पीछे से ही है
we had a common entrance exam actually was JMD and AML at that time.
हाथ खोला है
And I
एक
told
बंद
him,
करेगा तो आवाज कैसे आएगी
if the JMD guys
आपका जो बंदा बैठा है
they didn't think we were going to I was really upset about that because, you know, we're supposed to learn about government and actually technology, but clearly the fashion marketing, the entire marketing and merchandising people were more time. The interesting thing that I'd like to bring up is that while NIFT was not known, while it was still getting established, there was a humongous amount of positive energy which came in from the industry which had pushed for the formation of NIFT from other institutions across the world.
आगे नहीं हो गए, वो पीछे वाले दिख ही नहीं रहे जो
Fashion and various others who lent their faculty to NIFT at that time. So we had exposure to some of the best people, best minds, and we didn't feel disadvantaged at all, in spite of the fact that we didn't know what we were doing, and sometimes neither did our faculty know what they were doing. But it was a time of ferment, it was a time of experimentation. I think from then to now, the difference is that NIFT is a well-established brand name. Most of the students who are gathered here would have heard of NIFT when they were still in school very early on. Their parents would have heard of NIFT and therefore nobody would have questioned why are you going to a place called NIFT. And that's a change, the difference. But what still remains is the ability, if you are willing to take it, to skip across streams. For us it was easy because there were some 80 odd students across the streams.
बढ़ तो रहे
हाँ,
हाँ अभी लोग बढ़ गया होगा ना अभी
डीबी बढ़ा दिया डीबी बढ़ाया मैंने डीबी
हाँ ठीक है थोड़ा और कम करो हाँ और थोड़ा कम करो ये 15 पे लेके आओ उसको बस
Actually formally what we used to then we would wish it and help with each other's projects. And that gave us exposure which
ऑडियो अच्छा
as you become more structured becomes less. But that possibility still exists. So I think that's something which I would really urge the students to take from the earliest years, that don't stick to your lane no matter what anybody tells you. Feel free to veer around because the highway is actually much harder than you think.
Yeah, thank you so much. So that's the takeaway for you, whichever program you are pursuing, it is in your interest to interact with the students pursuing other programs. Now here is someone who carries Josh not just in the name, but also manifested in their achievements so far. He has taken a rookie player, a marathon, a responsible mother, and overall a star designer, having outlets at the end of the program. One who believes that necessity is the mother of not only innovation, but also entrepreneurship. One who has determined to join NIFT's Fashion Zen program, consciously changed the drive from commerce and use the gap year to pursue an evening program for the NIFT to run more skills and to join the program in Namanda, it would be helpful if you could travel back and recollect whether did you imagine or visualize in 1991 your name becoming that designer so famous and popular who would bring in a difference through your distinct contemporary style to an already established unique background. Also, running another brand, Josh, line of accessories in the courses market. Your story would help the students pursuing design courses across the campuses or in the process of goal setting. How did label numbers that you should have happened? How did the management and technology inputs help you navigate the national industry?
Okay, so when I applied for NIFT for the design program, I didn't get through the first time. And I thought my parents thought this is it. You left Delhi University doing BCom honors,
डिस्टर्ब तो नहीं होना
and you decided you want to study fashion, but you didn't make it. So you're not cut for it. So they already decided that I'm not
इसको सही करना है कैमरे के
So I have to
कैमरे को उठा रहा है कैमरे को उठा रहा है
and
एक और
prove to them that I can do it. So in the year that I left DU and after doing BCom honors for 1 year, I had decided I'm not going to go back and I wanted to, so I got through CPT, the Production Technology course. It was a TV program, and I did that 1 year, and the following year I made it to NIFT. So I told my parents, now, I stayed resolute and I made it through NIFT. So I'm going to join, and they were still hopeful that I go back studying BCom honors, but I was determined that I want to join NIFT, so I did.
और
And
बढ़ाऊँ
to answer your question,
थोड़ा सा
at the
right
time when I was in NIFT, did
तो
I
फिर
know
कैमरे
that
में
I'd become a fashion designer? No. For me, it was the journey which was ahead of me in the next 3 years, and that's what mattered. And unlike kids now, we have very little exposure to, we have no social media, even the international magazines. Right now, kids today, if someone's gonna look, within 10 seconds it's on social media. We had access to Resource Center when the magazine came 2 months later, a book came 2 months later, so that was the level of exposure we had. But as you mentioned, we have great faculty. And everything that we learned, because that was our source of information. So we were very, I like to say dedicated. I have a professor sitting here in the audience who taught me in 1991. When none of you were born, I can confidently say, so 2 of them are here. And we were a batch that actually fought with the DG that we want more working hours. So that cannot be shut at night. We protested outside DG's office. How do you shut the labs at night? We did a dharna. We want labs open all night. That was the kind of passion we have towards our program. And I think rather than pursuing fame, pursuing the stars, the success that you see out there in the fashion world, if you focus on your craft, if you focus on your purpose of your life at NIFT, and as he said, open your mind, don't be tunnel vision. Take in everything that you can, expose yourself. That is what will give you the edge over others when you step out in the industry. And that's completely, that's the only one thing which I can say that works in that.
That's great. So therefore, it was not number that you could ask to see now that you have in front of you. So, but also you did mention that there were very less designers at that time to be employed, for example. So you need to find an opportunity. In fact, your entrepreneurship initiative came at that time. And you share those.
Sure. So when I graduated from NIFT, I was working with a senior designer, Sunit Verma, and I worked with him for 2 years. And after 2 years, I felt that I needed to move on. But there were a handful of designers at the time in the industry, and a lot of my batchmates were already employed by those designers. So I had no other job opportunity. So what do? I was left with nothing. Either I sit at home or start my label. That's how my label happened. So for the first 6 months, actually, I didn't even make clothes. I designed costumes for a film. And that was my first project. And once the project finished, I went to my parents, who were in complete horror, shock, that I wanted to launch my label. They were like, what? Who does that? You should get a job, right? But then and I'm still continuing.
Yeah. So I'm sure that there are certain takeaways for you guys. Look, it's not that everything is available there. You find the opportunities, and now it's not just that Shipura has a label, but you also have Namjosh. And I was just checking, whether accessory design, we had at that time, and it was not even a Chinese stadium. It was operating from outside, but she got into an accessory line, and can you please share, how you got into the accessory line?
In 2000, I launched my label in 1996, and in 1997 and 2000 I moved to New York. And New York in 2000, anything from India was only production. There was no design. There was no acceptance of design from India. India was a production base in 2000. And when I moved to New York, I was clear. I had a label in India, a very small label, but I wanted to not be a production base. I wanted to sell my label. I didn't want to do private label. So I decided that the risk in starting an accessories brand is smaller than having a clothing label there, right? There are sizes, there are shapes. Accessories, there's a limited risk. So I launched my label, and I did a very nice photo shoot in India. I made a very nice logo, and I sent it out to all the showrooms, the agents, to all the buyers. I got buyers. Directly, I sent it out. And at the time there was
ये
a
लैपटॉप का
store
ऑडियो
in
ऑन
New
करके
York
छोड़
on Fifth Avenue called
ये ऑडियो है ही नहीं
Henry Vendors
उनको
was
आते
known
नहीं
to
है इसको
encourage
बंद
young
कर दीजिए
designers.
इंटरनल ऑडियो
So
लिया
I sent my
लैपटॉप का
portfolio
ऑडियो
there,
चल
with my shot, my portfolio, and sent it to them.
जो बोले
And they called me
Fun.
in for a
आता
talk
नहीं
show.
है
And that was my first break. It was completely
Laptop
a shot in the dark. I just sent it out because I did hear that they encourage young designers. And when I had, during the holiday market, which was pre-Christmas, they gave me 2 weeks of full floor on Fifth Avenue, fresh off the boat from India. I had an opportunity to present my accessories line, and then that was the start, and there's no looking back, even so many years later.
That's great, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing India in focus in this space. And maybe you had a consistent career path with and a remarkable career growth. You had contributed
फिर
to
ऑडियो बिल्कुल
those
silent हो
national
गया।
brands such as Indian Chips,
ये लैपटॉप का जो इंटरनेट होता है ना वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग
and currently working on the product development and sourcing for a global brand launch. How do you think is part of homecoming? Also, what are the, because out of the three, Nidhi has commitments because she is in the corporate line, unlike entrepreneurs. Do you have any idea
ये थी
what career path
ये ऑडियो
you
नहीं है
would
लैपटॉप का
tread
जो ऑडियो यूज
when you
होता है ये सब
join
लाइट
the NIFT program?
I think your question is very fast in it, so I'm just going to answer them one by one. So I think the first thing that you asked is how do I feel about homecoming. I feel a deep connection with NIFT. I have a lot to be thankful to NIFT for. This is where I learned all the skills, all the tools, and I got access to a lot of resources, even if it was a few months later, to be able to do what I am doing in the industry now. And I was a physics honor student from Amstrad College, a distinction holder. So when I came to NIFT, I really didn't have much clue of what NIFT could do offer me and how to
Noise suppression का
in the 2 years. And it was, I would say, a life-changing and game-changing thing because I learned so many things. Apart from skills, NIFT gave me a vision. I think it taught me to think big. It taught me to think bigger, like how big can it, like how high do I want to fly? And that is one thing that I'm really thankful to NIFT for, and I still carry it with me. And another thing I'm thankful to NIFT for is I found my life partner here. So he is also in NIFT Alumni. So I think I have, as you can see, I have a lot to be grateful to NIFT for. And then,
There's a
Devanshu and batchmates invented for that internal merchandising.
इसको मत करो।
And then you asked about did I know where my career is going to take me? The answer is no. And I think it's very easy to kind of look back and say, okay, this makes sense now. Like, Steve Jobs once said that you really cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect them backward. So, did I know? No. But what did I know? I knew that I know this trade. I have learned enough from NIFT. I have enough passion in me. When I got into the trade, it was like, there were not very many professionals in the institute. There were people who had learned this knowledge homegrown, very, very talented. So how do you amalgamate that knowledge, that professionalism with that vast knowledge pool that existed? So I knew that I could do that. And also I had belief in myself, and I knew that I'm going to go all out. I'm going to give it my best. And I think these are the things that I have consistently kind of, wherever I'm constantly thinking about that. And also a question that I always ask is that what is it that I can do for the company, rather than thinking that what is it that the company can do for me. I always think that the company has hired me. How can I do a better job? What is it that I can do for them and make them shine better? So I think these questions really give me a lot of fulfilling answers. And if I don't know the answers, I always reach out for help. I reach out to my friends in NIFT, I reach out to my friends in industry, I reach out to DD or other friends in the industry. So I reach out for help and try to find the way out. And I think that's really, really important. One thing that I want to encourage is that NIFT is not just about knowledge, but you're making friendships and you're making community. And while I would say that most of the people will stay on course. If you don't, it's not a bad thing. But then whenever you need help, reach out to this community for help, because that's a greater resource that you have.
That's great. So NIFT is not just giving you inputs, it's a great place to network, and in fact the alumni from 4 decades old are there to help you, guide you, and be hopeful there. I just want to take you back to these are very very well written words, and I'll take you through. In the this is from the first dean of NIFT, who was a consultant from FIT New York, and I did quote this before, but I am tempted to quote it again. It will be difficult for many people to see the true magnitude of what NIFT can become in the future. The industry will benefit, and young people who will soon look to NIFT for sound professional and marketable training. To strive for less, to achieve less would be criminal. Now, I want to check with each of you. In your opinion, has NIFT strived enough and achieved more? Can I start with Namrata?
Has NIFT
Strived enough?
I think NIFT has spread too much, more than strived. Sorry, I have to be honest here. But yes, NIFT has...
If you give me a moment, I will also counter this, we can go that. Because I also incidentally teach brand management, and I say that if you have a strong brand, only then you can stretch it. So I think extension, and the moment you have more let's say stores for Levi's, it creates more awareness. More Namrata Joshipura stores, more awareness, and that adds up to the brand strength. Okay, you can continue.
Okay, so today I feel there is no other institute that can come close to NIFT. No matter whether they have spread or strived or stretched, NIFT is NIFT, and it will always remain NIFT. I am very proud when someone asks me that did you study fashion? I said yes, I went to NIFT. Even after graduating, I graduated in 1994, right? So that 30 years later, I am still very proud that I am from NIFT. So, and even in the design community, in the design fraternity, there are not as many designers who, not all the designers, I'd like to say, have a fashion education background. At the time, before us, there was no institute teaching fashion. So NIFT as a brand has certainly has a lot of, it comes with merit. So when in the design industry, in the design fraternity, when there is, when you look at all the brands, the designers that are successful today, NIFT designers stand out, even if I say so myself, but they do.
That's great. Devanshu, would you like to add?
I think, I need to split the question a little bit. So, on the one part, there are people who are not from NIFT who claim to be from NIFT. Okay, it's like you're not carrying a Louis Vuitton bag, you're carrying a fake or a replica. You're proud to carry it because of the brand that it and the kind of aura it has around it, right? So that's a tick mark that the NIFT brand has some value, and therefore people are claiming to be from NIFT, and we've come across a few of them. But at the same time, the question that you actually asked is actually quite a brutal one if you really ask it honestly. Has NIFT done enough? Has it strived enough? And what Namrata said earlier was that NIFT has spread physically, geographically, many centers, many more students. Have we striven up to the level of excellence? Have we striven up to the level of impact that we could make as an institution? And I think there is some gap to be filled there, because while individual students might have, Nidhi is currently working for a company where we have another alumnus who is in a very senior global position for that brand, and it's a very venerable brand, very well respected, large brand, global brand. And there are others. NIFT alumni, if you pooled them collectively, have literally tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars maybe at their fingertips doing business. So there is that impact, but it's not only because of NIFT. It's because of what they have managed to do thereafter. And NIFT at the same time has not really had or demonstrated the vision to create a global impact or even a national impact. And a very, very small example of that is that our industry in India, two parts to it. One is the domestic market, the retail market. The second is the export and the sourcing. We still remain not a very large industry despite the size of the country. Manufacturing and clothing and textile manufacturing is one of the absolutely foundational industries in the growth of any economy for the employment that it can generate, and it's a graduating economy, right? We are still, if we take apparel exports, smaller than our neighbor Bangladesh. Why? NIFT should have in the past played that role to create that much bigger impact. Individual alumni have done. NIFT as an institution, I think, still needs to strive a little bit more.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah,
Nidhi?
so like just a couple of things. So number one is, I think there's no harm in spreading. Like, everybody takes pride in that Haldiram or McDonald's will say we are 100 store, we are 500 store, we want to get to 1,000 store. So I think no harm in spreading, but are we able to maintain consistency across centers? Can people differentiate between the product of two NIFTs? And if the answer is yes, then there's definitely job to be done. So that's point number one. Point number two is that the industry is changing really fast. There is an amalgamation of technology, 3D software, AI we keep hearing. So I think there has to be a lot of emphasis on when the students pass out, like 2-3 years from now, what is the industry going to look like? And are we preparing them enough that then when they get into that zone, They say, oh, I know how to use a 3D software, I know how to design on a Clo or a browseware, I know how to use AI. So I think those are the things I would say that, are we upgrading? And I could be wrong because I'm not very, very familiar with the content of the course now, but this is just a general statement that are we teaching what would be needed when the students pass out, and maybe like I said in the beginning, I think what NIFT gave me was a vision, and like it's still carrying me through. So are we really implanting that vision when the students pass out and 10 years hence, can they still draw from that vision? I think that's the thing. I would say the answer is like going back to basics.
Yeah, yes, NIFT has done that. Maybe from 2018 there has been a restructuring of the curriculum, and all those names that you rattled, has already been included in the curriculum, and that's being.
Okay, great.
So that takes me to the last question from my side, because we have 19 campuses joining us online. I have some questions to you. We were talking about the intersection of design, management, and technology, and if we have to navigate to the future, how is this? How are they going to play this? How are they going to play this together? Whether it is going to get into 2-3 different buckets, or are they going to converge at some point of time? Is design and technology converging more, or is it technology and management converging more? How do you see the future in that regard? You can start with that.
Shall I? Okay. So I think academic institutions need disciplines because they need to give out degrees, certificates, diplomas, whatever, right? So you have to have a certain stream that has to follow a certain logical structure which has to be interrelated. Life's not like that, okay? Every life circumstance is different, and I think each individual sitting in this room and who's watching should be evaluating how much they can take on board, how quickly they can take that on board, so that they can apply themselves to whatever faces them. We are living in a world which is extremely unpredictable. And the more you learn and the quicker you learn and the faster you unlearn whatever you had learned earlier, the better you are. So it really doesn't matter whether you came from fashion design, whether you came from GMT, whether you came from AMM, your roles, your professional roles and your goals will keep evolving, and you will have to evolve as a person as well, as a professional. So from that point of view, I think even while you're a student, regardless of which course or which discipline you're studying, you need to be absolutely open to drawing learnings from the cohort that you're studying with who are in other disciplines. Try and work with them, try and work with the industry, put yourself in areas which are not your comfort zone, because that's where you learn the most. And that will prepare you for life rather than the degree. That's how I would look at it. So today, if approaching a few years down, 60, if I am able to use artificial intelligence tools, it's because I broke my own mold several times over the last 30 odd years, and therefore I'm able to use something which is current. I wouldn't be able to do it if I just kind of sat in my own little ivory tower or in my pigeonhole saying I have been trained for X, Y, Z, and that's all I'll do.
Yeah, that's technology is a moving target, and yes, one has to get and even in every field, the impact of AI is seen. How do you see the future, Namrata?
I think as a brand, if I want to continue to be relevant, I have to very quickly adapt to the changing world. And and that's what I would say to the students here. And a very small example is I gave up BCom honors because I wanted to study design. But now, 30 years later, I have learned how to read my balance sheet. I adapted to what is required of my role today as an entrepreneur. So, like he said, we have to, the goalpost keeps shifting, it keeps moving. And if we do not adapt to the changing times, we will become obsolete. What doesn't grow decays. And in design also, technology, I wouldn't say per se design, but as we manufacture our garments as well. So So if we do not keep up with technology, we do not keep up with something as basic as an ERP system, we're going to be a mom and pop shop, and so you're not going to evolve with time. And that's why it's very important to have the awareness, have the growth mindset. Just because a design student says this is not my area of interest or expertise, you will remain very cocooned, and you will lose out on opportunities in life. Life is not linear.
So same as the one you said,
It
get
is not
out of your
linear.
comfort zone.
Life is not linear. You cannot graduate and, for me, we have NIFT students interning, working, and if anyone ever says this is not my job, we don't want to work with them. That's, where so you have to adapt with times very quickly.
Yeah. How do you see the future?
So, I would say there are two schools of thought. Like, one is becoming a specialist in what you do, but that would be maybe 1% of the population. So there is a big demand of, like, you are really the industry specialist in that, but then you are the go-to person. So either you hone your skills and your experience and knowledge to that level, then in a particular field you are known as that, okay, that's like 10 people, who do I think of? I go to that person. So that is one school of thought, which I think is great, it's an area of specialization. Second is that, like, like Namrata and Didi mentioned, life is not linear. You got to learn all the skills, and you got to be ready, because depending on the company, even though the role might be the same, your granular role could change. So you could be doing this today, you could be doing that today. Like, even if I just give the example of a sourcing remit, your roles could change from one company to the other. So I think one has to be prepared for that and learning additional skill sets. Also, on technology, I think it has to be integrated into the way of working. Nobody is going to ask you that, can you use technology? No. It would be expected of you. Like, if I talk like 10 years back, sustainability was a big thing. We need sustainable cotton. We need recycled cotton. Today, it's the way of life. At least none of the big brands would say that, I need this. It is understood, it is given. It's integrated into the whole system, the way things work. I would say similar things of technology and AI. Right now, we're talking about it because it's new. 2 years down the line, it would have integrated seamlessly so much into the way we work, nobody will be asking that question. So that's like, that has to happen. There's no other way.
Yeah, so therefore, it's easy to talk about future because, you can, but one thing which is going to be a constant is the changes and the dynamism that you see there. I think now we open it to the campuses. In fact, the hall first and then to the campus. Over to you, Bhavna.
We're going to open the house for questions, and that goes to the campuses as well who are online. You can put your question in the chat.
So while we are waiting for the questions, I'd like to say something. To all the students who are listening, one thing which NIFT will not teach you is to grow food. That's one thing which I'm just saying from the point of view of uncertainty facing humanity. Please learn to grow your own food and cook it, because that's one skill which is going to stand you in good stead no matter where you are, what you're doing, which part of the world you're in, or what job you're in. Right? Jokes apart.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the two astronauts stuck in space.
Yeah.
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 Question on that.
Yeah. Mic there.
Please identify yourself and then.
No.
Louder.
Hi, can you hear me? My name is Karan Khanna. My question is for Mrs. Joshimula. Hi, fan of your work actually. I wanted to ask you, how do you maintain all this so in like the last
Sorry?
I wanted to ask you more about how do you maintain stores as a neighbor? Because iPhone's quite hard and rentals are quite high, and like how does that work? How do you actually have stores and maintain them?
Even I don't know. Okay, on a more serious note, I maintain stores because those are very strategic decisions we take when we look at brand expansion, and we decide on location based on where we see our brand positioning. And we've had both the stores now. Emporio is over 10 years old, and Killa is now almost also 8-9 years. And it is high rentals, yes, but you have to, like I said, like as a designer, I ran away from studying commerce. But now I even know what EBITDA is. You'll know what EBITDA is, right? I have to learn that, right? Now I even know what EBITDA is, which I ran away from, which is what you do. You make a collection, you understand what works in the market, you understand what your customer profile is, what they are seeking from you, and you curate. So what is most important is curation, your pricing, your differentiation in the market. There are so many stores in the mall and in the Kutub area. So there are many factors that you keep in mind, and you study data, you continue to evolve your brand, your design aesthetic, because eventually it's the same customers that keep coming back to you. So you don't want to be repetitive. So it takes a lot of minds that it's opening a store is the easiest thing, but sustaining it and keeping it profitable for years and years and years, and consistency is very important. So while you're at college, while you're students, please become disciplined about consistency, about showing up for yourself, and that is what is going to help you open your store in future whenever you're ready.
If you don't mind, I have another question as well.
Sure.
So, I like to design collections myself, and often I find that I have so many pieces in my head, even just one collection, and it's like season after season, you're designing so many collections within 1 year. How do you curate that?
Again, I don't know, but I would like to say that it's like you ask, it's like how does he go to office every day? How does she run a business every day, right? So that's worked for me. And it's also, now my brain is on autopilot. Like I'm constantly thinking, and I'm not focused in creating a collection after collection, but a thought could come to me. I like to run. So when I'm on a run, when I look at a tree, it sort of gives me an idea, oh, that's a great texture. Or when I'm, watching a movie and I listen to, I see a scene, it says, gosh, that would be a great print. Or nature, like I'm very inspired by nature, so I spend a lot of time, I like to trek. And that's one thing for all the design students here. There's only so much inspiration you can draw from looking at other people's work on social media or influencers. Spend time in nature, spend time outside, spend time reading, spend time with yourself, spend time watching other creative mediums, art, history. It's amazing how just reading a story will want you to make an entire collection. So inspiration comes from anywhere, can come from anywhere. The worst is to seek it from looking at someone else's work.
Sorry, just one last question.
Sure.
Moderators.
What I noticed with like social media from my own research, especially for Indian labels like for high fashion, is that often it's such a challenge to like actually reach your target customer, and it's like then it becomes like a constant fight against like trying to get likes and engagement, and there's like a lot of social media teams who don't seem to have as much of a concrete plan as you might hope for like a strategy for your social media. So, do you find that social media is still effective, or do you think it's in a downward phase?
The narrative is changing rapidly. Social media is very impactful. It is your aesthetic. It's your visual business card, right? So for a design brand, for a fashion brand, social media communicates your language. Till few years ago, a designer just had a fashion show to showcase their creativity. Now social media provides you a different platform, which is where your aesthetic, your visual aesthetic sort of comes out. Having said that, influence, it's a very, some brands like to engage a lot more with influencers. It's all commercial. So today if I want an X influencer, or so what I'm trying to say is that someone who is getting paid will promote my brand and a safety pin brand also, right? There is no differentiation. So do I want to adapt that strategy? Maybe, maybe not, depending on what I'm trying to achieve from it. So it's very specific to each person, each designer, each brand. But yes, it is definitely, social media is relevant, but you have to differentiate yourself, whether social media, where the influencer endorsement works. Yes, it does increase your followers. Does it translate to commercial sales? Some yes and no. So it's very fluid. You're welcome.
So I'd like to raise a question from one of the campuses, where rather two questions, and I think Devanshu and Lily would be more aware with this one. How can India increase its garment export business?
Jyoti.
I think we need a whole session for that. I don't think we can really address that. Yeah, but I think that is something to really think about. And it's a question which I really don't have the answer to also. Like, we've got cotton. We are like the largest grower of cotton in the world now. We've got fabric. We've got labor. We've got government giving, like, there are good schemes now, to grow exports. So I think, yeah, like, what is really stopping us? And like I said, I won't be able to answer that here, but maybe it needs a whole deliberation, because this is a thought that keeps coming to my mind also, that, and if you see, actually our exports are coming down, year on year our exports have declined, while, okay, fine, our Indian retail market is growing and that segment of production is growing, but if you see exports, that has declined. So I think that definitely needs a lot of thought. Like, I'm happy to be a part of this session whenever you schedule it next, but it definitely needs a lot of good thought to be put into it, and maybe we should invite some more specialists to kind of, from some brainstorming.
I
you have a point.
I have a small contribution of food for thought, if you want to call it that. I think as a country, we don't like manufacturing. As professionals, we don't like manufacturing. People who are working in manufacturing, I mean, this is just, again, anecdotal observation of NIFTians itself, people who've kind of been in, from the GMT stream itself, move towards merchandising over a period of time, because the work environment that you're facing in a factory is very different from a work environment in a merchandising job, let's put it that way, in an office with meeting buyers and so on and so forth. When it comes to workers, again, and with younger generation even more so perhaps, they don't want that routine of starting work at 8, 8:30 in the morning and kind of carrying on till 5, 5:30 in the evening in one place doing one thing. And on the other side, when it comes to people who could set up manufacturing facilities or invest in manufacturing facilities or expansion of existing manufacturing facilities, I think there's a lack of confidence to a certain extent, and this is not new. I can remember conversations in 2002-03 before the transition from GATT to WTO, where the quota system was being abolished, and I can remember a few conversations, not one, where people were saying, when I asked them the question as to why they were not expanding capacity, people said that, but China is going to come in and take everything away. The funny thing is, in 2004, India's exports expanded because buyers were looking for sourcing from India. But they hit a ceiling because the capacity was not available. And eventually, other countries took that share away. We still can, and we actually need more manufacturing capacity in the country because we have literally crores of individuals who could do with jobs which are steady and stable. And for that, we need investment in manufacturing capacity. So it's not a single point problem. I think it's a multifaceted problem. I think we all need to solve it together.
I have a point to make on this. Very recently, there was a alumni discussion, and there was Pallab there from Pearl, and he made a very relevant point, and I'd like to present that point here, that what is happening is that manufacturing of that scale, the larger manufacturing facilities are mainly in metros, right? Bigger manufacturing export companies are Gurgaon, Delhi, Noida, Bangalore, Chennai, right? These are all tier 1 cities. The cost of living and cost of production has gone up a lot. So to sustain large manufacturing facilities is coming at a very high cost, which perhaps the export pricing cannot absorb. So I think it's relevant that the manufacturing facilities are moved to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities where even a worker, like I run a factory, so minimum wages, there is escalation, there's because of inflation, the minimum wages keep going up every few months actually. So as a result, if that worker who earned X amount could send home money, but now the cost of living is so high in Noida that he thinks he'll figure something out living back home. So if we built a manufacturing facility in, deeper parts of Bihar, in deeper parts of UP, I think our export would look north.
Good. As Nidhi said, it requires a entirely new session. I have also a few points to add there. First is, we have to consume. If you have surplus, we export. But for exporting, others should have demand. The economy should be ripe enough. There are more things to discuss there. But thank you so much for spending time with us. I think it's time for us to conclude. I hand it over to Bhavna to close the session. Is there a final session? Yeah.
On behalf of the campus, I would like to thank all our alumni for coming in. We've been meeting over the years, and it's been really nice having you here. I think very educating for the students as well. I'd like to request Director Delhi Campus to escort G Ma'am on stage to felicitate our guest for the evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely to listen to all three of you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Just one token of appreciation from our side.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's not for you.
Thank you so much.
You have a different, nicer, more feminine color.
Thank you so much. I have no problem with the color at
It's a
all.
trending color.
Absolutely. No, I have no problem with it. Thank you so much.
Lovely to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
One photograph, ma'am. We can have it.
Should we stand in the front? Yeah.
I think let's stand in the.
May I request Deepa to come and join us?
Where do you grow your food?
We have some food going on.
Yes, I am sure. That's why you mentioned that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you all so much.
I think this is the second time.
Joining us on behalf of
So you guys add Bharatex, yeah.
I was thinking this.
Yeah. I think we might briefly at Bharatex. Wow, sorry.
सच में चलो गुड
Text and write order.
हाँ ज़रूरी है
ये तो इसकी friends ने रखा था कभी
No, my mother.
कभी भी